January 11, 1979.
Something that changed TV forever happened while Johnny Carson and John Wayne were sat across from each other on The Tonight Show stage.
The interview began like any other. Laughter, stories, and an easy connection that can only come from being friends for a long time.
Still, John Wayne stopped in the middle of a speech 11 minutes in. He looked straight at Johnny with a look that made everyone in the room stop talking. The Duke said in a low voice, "Johnny, I need to tell you something.
I need to tell America something. I don't know if I'll get another chance." What happened next has never been shown in full on TV again.
The man who had talked to presidents, actors, and the biggest stars in Hollywood history, Johnny Carson, passed out. Nobody had ever seen someone feel or look that way before, not physically. The king of late night, who was known for always being calm, broke down.
I was crying live on TV. Most people don't know this, though.
3 days before this conversation, John Wayne called the guys who make The Tonight Show in a secret call. He had personally asked them to come, and he had given them a warning that they didn't tell Johnny. It would have all been different if they had been warned. When Johnny Carson walked on stage, he thought it was just another conversation with an old friend. Neither he nor anyone else in the country knew that John Wayne was about to say goodbye. He also wasn't ready for the 7 words that would break his heart in front of 40 million people.
Are you interested in seeing what true friendship looks like when it hurts the most? You will always remember this story. Where are you tonight to watch? Put where you are in the comments and click subscribe because this is only the start. Do you know what John Wayne meant to Johnny Carson? That will help you understand why that January night broke him.
When Wayne first went on The Tonight Show in 1962, they became friends. When Johnny and the Duke sat down together, something different happened than in most talks with famous people.
They really liked being with each other. For the next 17 years, John.
There were more than 30 times Wayne was on The Tonight Show, and each time was magical. People loved how the tough cowboy and the smart speaker worked together. There was more to their friendship than what people saw.
Johnny went to Newport Beach to see Wayne. They went fishing with each other.
Wayne was one of the few people who called Johnny just to see how he was doing after one of his painful divorces. There are no cameras or reporters there, just friends. John Wayne had been hiding something since the summer of 1978, but Johnny and almost no one else did.
The sickness was back. Wayne beat lung cancer many years ago.
People saw that tough men could deal with illness and win by hearing him talk about it in conversations.
It became a part of his story.
But this time was different. Doctors found that his stomach cancer had spread to other parts of his body in June 1978. The report was very bad.
6 months, or maybe even less. Everyone close to John Wayne was shocked by what he did. He wouldn't hide.
He didn't want to hide and die in peace like many famous people had done before him. His goal was to keep living. Keep working, and keep being the John Wayne that America needs. But first he had to do something. He had to say goodbye to the most important people in his life.
His family knew. A few close Hollywood friends knew. Now he was sure Johnny Carson needed to know. However, Wayne did not want Johnny to find out over the phone or in a private talk. He meant to say.
They were known for being friends on The Tonight Show, where they played him.
Wayne didn't think about how unprepared Johnny would be when he found out the truth.
That Thursday night, The Tonight Show stage was packed with people.
The crowd went wild when John Wayne came out from behind the curtain. Cheers and a standing ovation, the kind of welcome that only American heroes get.
The Duke was 71 years old, but he still had control over every place he went into. He wore his famous Western jacket and walked with the cocky confidence that had made Hollywood history for 50 years. Johnny got up to shake his hand and smiled like a child meeting a hero.
Everything went well for the first 11 minutes.
Wayne talked about making the movie True Grit, which was the one that finally won him an Oscar. He did looks like directors who were afraid to give him notes.
Laughed.
That he was getting older and that his horse was beating him on set.
The crowd loved every minute.
But Johnny Carson had been reading people on TV for 25 years. He knew when something wasn't right, and that night, John Wayne was really not right. The Duke would pause between stories and look around the crowd as if he were trying to remember every face. Even though his jokes were funny, there was seriousness behind them. Johnny had never seen his smile before. Then it took place. John Wayne's whole attitude changed after a story about Dean Martin. The showman was no longer there. The story died out. All of a sudden, the man sitting next to Johnny Carson was just a tired man carrying a load that was too heavy to take by himself. Wayne said, "Johnny," in a low voice. "Before we go any further, I need to tell you something." The giggles. It stopped right away. There were 400 people in the room who held their breath. Johnny leaned forward. He knew deep down that something important was about to happen. John Wayne took a big breath and said, "Of course, Duke. Say whatever you need to say." He looked at the camera and saw that millions of people in the US were watching from their living rooms. Then he turned back to his friend. "John, I'm dying." Just 3 words. Only 3 words. But they really hit Johnny Carson hard. His face turned white. He had always kept his hands very steady, but they started to shake. There was no sound at all in the room. There was no coughing or whispering. There was only the sound of 2 friends facing the hardest truth there is. And Johnny Carson, the host, who? The right words, but they couldn't say anything. Everyone was shocked by what he did next, even himself. If this story moves you, please click the like button right now and let me know where you are watching it in the comments. Johnny Carson had been the most stable person on TV for 17 years. He had been polite to awkward company. He knew how to handle difficult situations perfectly. The time. He had talked to thousands of people through happiness and sadness, and until now, he had never lost his cool on TV. Something inside Carson broke when John Wayne said, "I'm dying, Johnny." He bowed his head. He felt his shoulders start to shake. In the history of The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson broke down and cried live on TV for the first time. Not tears that aren't loud or mean, but raw, uncontrollable sadness. The people in the room were lost. When it came time to cut to commercial, the producers in the control room were frozen. As the cameras kept rolling, they caught something that was never meant to happen on network TV. Then John Wayne did something that made everyone see who he really was. The sick man stood up. "Rise up." With great care, the Duke walked slowly over to where Johnny was sitting. He grabbed his friend by the arm and held him fast. While the king of late night cried, Hollywood's toughest cowboy tried to comfort him. "Little pilgrim, it's okay," Wayne said in a soft voice, using his popular catchphrase as a prayer. "It's all right. I'm okay with it now. You need to make yours now." Both men didn't say anything for almost 2 minutes. The crowd was stunned and silent, and tears were running down everyone's face in the studio. It was no longer fun to do this. There was something holy here. Johnny finally raised his head. His eyes were red. His voice was messed up. "Duke," he finally said. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to say goodbye to you," Wayne said. That well-known goofy smile had won over many Americans for generations. "Then don't say goodbye," he answered. They told her, "Just talk to me like we're sitting on my porch in Newport Beach, just 2 old friends catching up on life." And they did. For the next 20 minutes, Johnny Carson and John Wayne stopped being interviews totally. They talked about their kids, their worries, and their feels bad. Wayne told them he was scared to leave their family. Johnny told her he didn't know how to keep doing the show since his friend wasn't going to watch it anymore. At one point, a man in the crowd got up and had tears in his eyes. "It was Mr. Wayne," he said. "I learned how to be brave from your pictures. How can I be brave now?" When the Duke looked at that man, he meant every word. Wayne said that being brave isn't about not being scared. It's about being scared but still going forward. You say you're scared. You keep going after the people you love. I only know that one secret. Johnny told his director to clear the stage for the rest of the show. Not any other guests.
Not even a joke or two.
Johnny said to Duke, his voice still shaking.
I need you to understand something. You're not just a show guest. I love you, brother. I will be there for as long as you have time left. As family, not as an entertainer.
John Wayne slowly nodded, and his eyes lit up.
Hey Johnny, that means a lot. A lot more than you know.
For more than 10 years, no one would know what happened after the cameras stopped running. NBC's phone lines went crazy as soon as The Tonight Show finished that night. In the first 2 hours, more than 15,000 calls came in.
Not complaints and not a mess.
People were calling to thank you and tell you about how they had dealt with illness, lost loved ones, and found courage in tough situations. The American Cancer Society said they got more calls the next morning than they did in the whole month before. People who had been putting off checkups for years called doctors' offices all over the country to make appointments. Being honest with John Wayne not only moved people, it also saved lives. But the friendship that grew over the next 5 months behind closed doors was never shown to the world. He kept his word, and Johnny Carson became John Wayne's wife.
Always there for you.
He went to Wayne's house in Newport Beach at least twice a week, sometimes more often. He took food from the Duke's favorite places to eat. Together, they watched old westerns and laughed at the fight scenes that Wayne could no longer do. In March, Wayne had to have emergency surgery at the hospital, and Johnny had to miss 3 shows and stay at the hospital. He slept in the spot where people wait. When Wayne was in a lot of pain, he held his hand. Wayne told his daughter, "Johnny never treated me like I was dying," during one of the last weeks he was awake. The Tonight Show got a lot of letters after that show, but the ones from veterans hit them the hardest.
He treated me like I was living. That made all the difference.
John Wayne had been a strong American figure for many years. Millions of soldiers were moved by his war movies. Veterans from all over the country felt moved to write after seeing him face death with honesty and honor. A Marine in Texas wrote a letter that said what a lot of people felt. I learned how to be tough by watching John Wayne movies. It was seeing him on The Tonight Show that taught me something more important.
Being honest about being weak is what I learned. Scared. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen in battle. After 2 weeks, Johnny read that letter on the radio. He almost broke down again, but he made it through. From his sick bed, John Wayne watched that show. The staff there said it was one of the last times they had ever seen him smile. 5 months after that historic Tonight Show visit, on June 11, 1979, John Wayne died.